All right, let me see if I can get some music going. If the music quality is good, give me a thumbs up when it starts.
By listening.
That's a great song, but I know we don't have all day, so I can't let it play on forever. Let's see if we can get Billy on stage here. We'll wait for Billy to figure that out, and then we'll get going.
You don't have to try to understand anything. Just listen to the sound.
Uh-oh, Billy, do you keep getting knocked into listener? Oh, connected. Hell yeah.
As you hear sounds coming up in your head, you simply listen.
All right, let me get my headphones in.
Can you guys hear me? Come on, some new headphones. There's a huge echo. I'll take that as a no. I'll take that as a yes. All right, I got it. MK, can you mute and I can see if that fixes the echo. No. Tibor, can you talk and see if MK can hear you?
Is it me? Let's see. Tibor, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, now I can hear you. Excellent.
Can you mute so I can see if it solves the echo problem?
Sure.
Testing. We're in business. Okay, cool. MK, you want to kick us off with some inspirational words of wisdom?
And you said some inspirational words of wisdom. I put my headphones back in, so I think I want to make sure I heard you.
Yes. And some context setting.
All right, no headphones. Yeah, all right. I got some words of wisdom, and if I'm echoing for some reason, just give me a thumbs down. Yeah, we've been busy in the world of intuition, so thank you for everyone who popped in today to kind of get the latest update. Intuition's been long in the making, multiple years, lots of different contributors along the way. 0 to 1 has finally been achieved with the launch of the beta portal, which if you have yet to experience, you should 100% go check it out. Just not hard to find. Scroll through our Twitter feed or go to intuition.systems and enter the app there. Go ahead and do the quests, collect some IQ points, and start checking out what it means to have a communal open knowledge graph. and the things that you can do with it. And I guess today's topic of conversation is the core primitives, the very basic building blocks that unlock lots and lots of really big ideas. So today should be a fun conversation. I guess, Billy, you want to introduce the core primitives or maybe even add some more color?
Yeah, very happy to. So at its core, intuition has three core primitives. We have atoms, which are also referred to in the portal as identities. And actually, to context that with the portal, hopefully it was self-explanatory and we try to describe it in the onboarding flow. But the portal is just meant to be kind of an explorer for the intuition ecosystem, because what we saw, like, intuition at its core is a protocol and middleware, and it is meant for you to build on top of. But as I saw when kind of like helping build out the Ethereum ecosystem and other ecosystems, if you just build the protocol and the middleware, no one knows what you're doing. It's really hard to grok what is happening. And so we felt it was very important for us to at least launch with an explorer, and an explorer that, instead of in stark juxtaposition to Etherscan, where most of the time in Etherscan you're reading data and you're not actually interacting with Ethereum. Like, you can interact with all of Ethereum directly through Etherscan if you want, but you oftentimes don't do it because the user experience isn't so good. And so the portal for us is really meant to be kind of this quote unquote explorer that you also might want to use as an application in and of itself. But the hope is that intuition's integrated everywhere. You're interacting with intuition by interacting with apps that are integrated with intuition that offer probably better user experiences than we can offer through this kind of generalistic platform. So within the portal, or I guess in intuition, we've got these three primitives. We've got atom/identities, we've got triple/claims, and we have signal/staking. The reason why things look the way they do is because the whole point of intuition is to allow people to have ownership over data and to allow value to flow through data in a way that has never before been possible. So in order for you to kind of have like equity in discrete data, you kind of got to break the data down into discrete ownable units. And that's what atoms are. So an atom is any arbitrary piece of data that is referenced by any arbitrary URI. So it could be, the URI could be a Spotify song that links to some data in Spotify. It could be an IPFS CID, which is the portal default happy path flow, where you upload some data to IPFS, and now that the atom is referencing some IPFS data. It could be posting to Ceramic Network. It could be posting to some sort of like local identity hub where you're storing data locally on your device. It can point anywhere, but the whole point is to transform data into these semantic, discrete, ownable units so that we can then flow data back to you, the people who created the data, so you make money from having contributed the data in the first place. So the paradigm right now, and I promise I'll progress past atoms here in a second, but the paradigm right now is you spend all of your time and your energy and attention going around the internet and creating very useful data that gets monopolized by these big tech platforms, and that is how they make all of their money. And it has become kind of like repetitive to say, but when a product is free, it's not actually free. They're milking, like, you're unwittingly and willingly slaves to these digital giants who are extracting your time and energy and attention to generate data for themselves that they then monetize and become trillion-dollar businesses off of. And so the whole point of intuition is like, what if that wasn't the case? What if we could disintermediate that flow, and if we could take the value of the data and send it directly to the users themselves, as opposed to having it be captured by these intermediaries? And in order to do that, you got to be able to own the data, and that is the purpose of the atom. So you can kind of think of atoms as the building blocks of the intuition system, and you can think of the intuition system as this big, open, unified knowledge graph of all of the world's data. The data doesn't have to live in intuition. We just kind of like make it semantically mappable, and we make it ownable, and we allow value to flow through that data back to you. So to kind of be able to do that, you then need these emergent higher order structures built on top of the data that allow you to compose the data together in interesting ways. So if you think of atoms in any way, I think a good analogy is kind of the words of the dictionary. So if you see kind of the prominent atoms that are taking off right now, it's words in the dictionary that people think will oftentimes be used moving forward. And so, like, a person's name will probably be used less so than the word is or has tag, because that's a functionality in the portal, or like is friend of. So intuition becomes this game of kind of like betting on data, because like when you create data using these primitives, you get ownership in them, and as other people interact with that data, you get rewarded with fees. um, and so you kind of want to, like, what that does is it kind of incentivizes you to create good data as opposed to bad data, and to help curate this TCR of, first at the atom level, this dictionary, this registry of useful things to compose higher order statements with. So I think I've beat atoms to death, but that's kind of the general idea there. And again, for people who are new and listening, if you read the white paper, they're explicitly called atoms at the technical level. In the portal, they're called identities, because the thought there is no one knows what an atom is in this context, and identities is kind of a close proxy for these things, wherein every single thing in the world has an identity, but not yet everything has some sort of like referenceable digital identifier, and they most definitely don't all have kind of these self-sovereign, globally persistent, universally referenceable digital identifiers. And so a piece of data needs an identifier. A person needs an identifier. Like everything, a word needs an identifier. Every single thing in the world, we think we need to prescribe a decentralized identifier to, so that you can reference it universally across the web. So take, for example, the concept of listing a product on Amazon. That listing of the product on Amazon exists as this identity in this very specific silo of Amazon. And if you want to reconcile that product against that product listed on eBay or Craigslist or some other digital marketplace, then you get this fragmentation, because you're not referencing the same concept with the same identifier. So the identifier in Amazon could be like some URL that is the product listing, or in eBay it's a different URL. But what if we could have the same kind of reference point around which to aggregate data across the web? Then let's say you're building like a Shopify storefront, instead of needing to create like a new identity for the same product in the real world, all you have to do is pull in the globally persistent canonical identifier for that thing, and it comes along with all of the historical data of that thing. So it could come with all of the reviews from all the platforms across the web. It could come from with all of the descriptions of the thing. It could come with all of the places that it's listed, and you can extrapolate that out to any concept. So think about you as a user logging into an application. Like, now you have a globally persistent canonical identifier referenceable across the web. So when you go to log into a platform, you don't have to fill out the same profile information again every single time. You come along with all of your preferences and your whole community and all of the information that you want to expose and all of that. So that's kind of like a core concept of the decentralized identity world. And what we're trying to do here with atoms and identities is extrapolate that concept out to things beyond people. Because when you think of decentralized identity, I think people oftentimes think of the concepts of people. But again, everything has an identity. So we need to prescribe everything in the world a decentralized identifier. And then the way that we kind of curate this registry of good identifiers is creating this economic game around them, where when you use them or stake on them, you're getting equity in them. And then when any other person interacts with that piece of data, you get rewarded. So right now, the economic game is very much on the right side of the data with a W. So when people write data or create data, that's when you get rewarded. But you can think of this like not too far in the future vision, where let's say there's a you know some sort of like AI agent that's querying some data set, and that query hits some data that you have equity in. And to create that query, there's like a cost per query model, and someone's paying a fraction of the penny to do the query. Now we can flow the value to the people with equity in the data that was queried via this agent. So you can kind of start to see kind of the worldview that we're pointing towards. So that's the lowest level primitive is atoms. One step up from there is triples. So semantic triples. In the portal, they're called claims because you're making claims about things. But really what these are semantic statements about things. So basically, like, now that you have the words in the dictionary, which are the atoms, now you can compose these words together into statements about stuff. You can say anything about anything, but you can now say things in this format that is extremely semantic. It's just nodes and edges. It's the same data format that any sort of like AI model uses or neural network. And you retain this kind of semantic structure all the way up through the stack so that the data is structured in this way that's very easily ingestible and very easy to prescribe ownership to. You can also have triples that reference like that are used as an atom in another triple. So for instance, a higher order triple could be something like, let's say the first triple is I trust Matt. That could be a triple. And then a higher order triple could use that triple in its triple. I could say, I trust Matt is false, or I trust Matt in context X, or whatever. And you can just keep expanding out from there and creating these more and more complex structures just using these two primitives of atoms and triples, just like the basic building blocks of all of human knowledge. You got words and statements. It kind of creates a language. The final thing is signal or staking. So what we've done is we have decoupled the statements from who is saying the statements. So if you look at attestation or verifiable claim world right now, what has been done is this marriage between who is saying the statement and the statement itself. So the example I like to give here is in the old paradigm, let's say I want to claim that I am Matt's friend. I can create an attestation that says Billy's Matt's friend. But let's say, and there's 10,000 attestations, all kind of saying the same statement. All they're saying is, I am Matt's friend. So most of most of the data looks exactly the same. So you're duplicating a huge piece of the data to say the same statement. And then it gets really tricky because 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 because